That's gross. Oh, it's very gross. Knock it over. Knock it over.
Nice.
Alright guys, so some of the features of the M1A, and in this case we're trying to make it look like an M14. We'll start up at the muzzle and run to the back, and this is going to be fairly quick. But this one, most M1As are not equipped with a bayonet lug as part of your flash hider and front sight assembly. Someone was nice and put that thing on here. So you have kind of a castle nut with a special spanner wrench to put that thing on. So this actually does a decent job of suppressing flash. And then this one does have national match sights on it, so again, that's pretty cool. But bayonet lug for your, I believe it's M6 bayonet. And that mounts with a trigger set up. So I'm going to get it started holding the trigger, lock it on, and now the end of my flash hider holds the bayonet. And we'll just leave that there for now. But front sight post on a national match, you can adjust by loosening that set screw and sliding it back and forth on its dovetail, but really most of the stuff is going to be done with the rear sight. Fairly thin front post on the match sights. See my barrel, it's national match on that, which is cute. Hopefully that means it shoots well. Most of the things that don't go well with this are going to be my fault. But then we get into our gas block system. You can mount an M2 bipod underneath. I actually have one, but for whatever reason, whether it's Springfield's thing or the bipod's maybe not made perfect, the bumpers actually run into the body of the stock and it will not collapse. So I don't have it on there right now. I'll show it to you guys later. But wooden stock all the way down, fairly heavy. They did go to fiberglass later in the game, but those didn't come around soon enough to be issued in Vietnam. This one does have a fiberglass top cover. So if it looks kind of tinny and plasticky, that is why. Get back, we have your op rod. So when you are gripping the rifle, you can, if you get a little overzealous, get in the way of that thing, and that is all moving when you shoot. So you do have to kind of keep your fingers away from that spot. As we come back, you have your actual charging handle to run the action. This guy has already been loaded, as you saw on camera. But on top of the receiver, and we'll do some of this for you too, we have a stripper clip guide. Kind of an odd choice on a box-fed magazine gun, but I'll show you that later. You have standard box mags that are rock and lock. They come out of this kind of like an AK does, where you're gripping that tang and pulling out and away. When you're coming back in, lock it home. As you saw just a minute ago, on the left side of the receiver, I do have a bolt lock, so I can lock my bolt open without being empty if I need to. You'll notice I have a giant hole in the side of the receiver. That is actually where a scope mount would be put on to go over the top. A lot of the scope mounts take the place of your stripper clip guide. They lock in there, and on the side you've got some kind of bevels to help locate the thing. Moving on back, we have a thing that's a definite carryover, and if you couldn't tell, all this is a pretty heavy carryover from an M1 Garand. We'll get that thing out, or a Garand if you are one of the educated people. But with the carryovers, I do have the trigger, or inset of the trigger guard safety. So right now the gun's on safe. If I push that forward, it is ready to fire. So basically, if you got crap in there with your trigger, you need to get it out of the way if you need to shoot. Sight adjustments are very nice. They're right there on the outside. You can tell what you're doing with them. You have some really nice little hash marks there to move back and forth. The national match peep is really tiny. My eyes don't like it very much, but you know, it's an old gun. I'm gonna shoot it the way it's set up. And height adjustments on the left side. As we move back, you have your pretty much standard pistol grip stock, regular old sling studs, but then you have this cool little flippy-do thingy. And I'm not sure who's thinking that's actually going to stop anything for me to shoulder the gun. It's just sticking up in the air. But hey, I think it was there to supposedly help keep the gun from rising in recoil, but not doing much for me. But it also hides your trap door, and everybody knows what goes in the trap door. So after a long day of running around the jungle and shooting stuff, if I can get to the dang thing. Foot's cramping. Hurts. Oh, it's hard getting 30. You'll notice part of my kit to get into the trapdoor is going to be an actual bullet tip because the thing is fairly tight. So I'm going to push that little door out the way, set my round aside, and pour out the important contents. Back in Nam, when you needed something, you didn't keep a cleaning kit in your stock, kept your cigar. I'm not a smoker. Yep, let's shoot this thing. Doesn't taste terrible. All right. That's gross. Want one? Okay, so all jokes aside with the cigar that I can't smoke, that I'm not man enough for, what actually goes in the butt plate, I'm assuming because this is a Springfield Armory rifle and not an actual M14, the cleaning kit doesn't quite fit right, but this is what you get in the butt plate of an M14 minus one component that I can put a picture in here of. But you actually get a ratcheting or a chamber brush. You get this multi-tool. It's got your T-handle for running your cleaning rods, a actual wrench on it, and then this handy little tool that they actually show in the manual is used to push bullets down into the mags with your repack kit. I'm sure it has other uses. I'll have to throw pictures of that in here because I can't remember. But you actually store this thing inside of that thing. I believe that goes in the top hole. So I do have two holes here. Yeah, so you're supposed to be able to put that in, and then this cute little oil bottle, again, I'll throw in a picture, that's got like a grease cup and then oil on the other side and little applicators, but they don't quite fit. I think I'm wrong. I think it's the wrench or the brush kit. Oh, I was right. I did it earlier upside down. So top hole, room for the grease hole, but not really because it's a Springfield stock and it doesn't fit. You can see my cute little pouch tore its little end off. I'm gonna have to make that fit. But essentially, with the M14, unlike the M16 when it came out, you actually had provisions for a cleaning kit with the rifle, which, if many people look up much about the M16, was a huge issue when it first came into service in Vietnam, was that you did not have any way to clean it effectively, and they would suffer for it. So there you go. That's what really goes in there, not backwoods cigars I bought at the gas station 5 minutes ago to get this taste in my mouth. Thanks. So, I'm going to demonstrate the stripper clip guide. That's too gross. I can't keep doing it. So, I'm going to shoot a few rounds. I had somewhere around 15 or something. I just shot 2. I'm going to shoot a couple more and show you what the guide is about. Alright. So, let's say I just did some shooting. There is a lull in the battle and I need to reload. As you can see from my web gear, I only have 2 mag pouches. Now these general purpose M56 pouches can only hold 2 20-round mags. So that's kind of lame, because with an M14, a standard load was 4 mags on person, 1 obviously on you in the gun. So I only have 100 rounds to go into a fight with. The answer to that ammo question is the repack kit. So I have this cute little bandolier that looks like it should be holding like M1 Garand end blocks. It's about that size. In reality, I have, each pouch has 10 rounds on 2 5-round strippers. Those are the cheap ones. So what I'm going to do is probably sling a live round on the ground like a moron here, but I'm going to attempt not to. I'll lock. So I lock my bolt, caught my round. I can just push him back down if I want to, and I want to. Take my stripper clip, put it on the guide, refill my magazine without taking my magazine out of the gun. Is that super practical? I don't know. It's not as great, not as good as, like, you know, pulling another magazine out, but if you were out of combat and you had the time to just top your gun off, not the worst thing I've ever seen. They do include another tool that I'll show you here in a minute, but let's go shoot some stuff. So one thing about the M14 is it's heavy. So we're rocking, I think, around 10 pounds loaded. Camera guy, tell me if I'm gonna fall on my ass here, but I feel pretty cool right now. I don't know about you, but loaded, this thing's around 10 pounds. So if I'm hauling this around all day, walking around the jungle, gonna run into a tree, and we're stopping. But I'm gonna get tired. Now, manly men carry this thing around and did so for a long time. Before that was the M1 Garand, which I believe was a similar weight. Might be a hair lighter, unloaded. I have to get back to you on that, but it's fairly long as well. We're talking around 44 inches. So in a few minutes, we'll get out the M16 look-alike and compare just to see which one is obviously going to be easier to haul around and carry. Now, this thing is going to hit a crap load harder than a 5.56, which hopefully I can demonstrate for you with my crappy shooting. So on the left, we've got a 10-inch coffin on a swing. See if I can hit him. So that gets him swinging pretty good. If I go get the M16, we'd probably get a little bit different feel for the 10-inch. But you can see that that does not swing like crazy. It just kind of, oh God. Now I could have hit it more on the bottom, maybe. It's still swinging. But go for a head on that guy. So the gun doesn't recoil terribly hard. I'm taking my time, but if I wanted to shoot it a little bit faster, I can do so. I'm just not going to be able to control it as well as an M16 or something in 5.56. Speaking of control, one of the things that is not on this stock, the way you can tell it's not a government issued stock, is it doesn't have a U-shape cutout right here. All M14s originally were select fire. So take a 308 rifle like this and make it fully automatic, and there's tons of videos, well, maybe not tons, but there's a couple good videos of like Ian from Forgotten Weapons shooting this thing in full auto. He's probably my size. I've never met the guy in person, but I'm assuming similar build, and it's just all over the place. I'm sure a behemoth could hold the thing down, but most guys in the military drafts and whatnot are not behemoths, you know. Looks like my magazine's trying to crawl open. Sorry, squirrel brain. But very uncontrollable in full auto, which is interesting because this gun was supposed to take the place of 4 different guns when it was conceived. So it looks just like an M1 Garand because a whole lot of the design came from it. So it's supposed to take the role of your main battle rifle, so it takes place of the M1 Garand. Lighter weight, so it's supposed to take place of your submachine guns with your full automatic fire. So if you've ever held a submachine gun, this ain't it. So it was supposed to take the place of the M3 grease gun. Also supposed to take the place of the M1 carbine. Again, like 5 pounds heavier, much heavier recoil, not exactly like a rear guard rifle. And also supposed to take the place of the BAR. So it didn't really do any of those things super well. You're asking it to do way too much. So the full auto thing, even though there was a U-cut on the original stocks, most of those got welded into semi-auto, so the soldier couldn't even do it because you're just going to spray ammo ineffectively for the most part. It does do the main battle rifle thing pretty well. You got 20 rounds of very quickly reloaded box magazine. 308 still hits pretty hard. It's soft shooting, so it's fairly controllable in that configuration. So let's go see if we can shoot a little faster. Careful, it's muddy here in Vietnam. All right. So for giggles, I'm gonna maybe deafen you a little bit, but yeah, you wanna get behind me. Just to see how quick handling and slow I am. I got a target on my right. It's a mini IPSC at about 35, 40 yards. So I don't know, it might be like a man-sized torso, say at 75 or 100. On my left, I've got another 10-inch coffin, and then I'll finish off with some rapid fire into the full-size silhouette at about 40 yards. So here we go. Ready? Oh, it's very great. Knock it over. Knock it over. So those like 2 rounds went high and right, which is what this rifle is trying to do. I am not great with these national match sights, so I'll just let you have that for whatever it's worth. But we might go up to the top of the hill and see if we can do anything at 250 here in a little bit.
Lower left.
Yeah.
Headshot.
Yeah, I have to aim off the left edge to, I'm still just a touch right. But that's pretty cool. I'll do one more.
Nice. Nice.
Two chips.
I'm gonna go ahead and drain this mag and show you the rest of that repack. Okay, one really cool thing is you do get last round bolt hold open. So now that I'm empty, I can very well see I'm empty. I can even feel when I'm empty because of the way the impulse, when the bolt locks back, the gun doesn't have the chunk forward motion, which isn't anything new. That's kind of what you feel with an M16 or M4 or anything like that. So I'm gonna strip this mag away. Yeah, this Checkmate mag, I need to drive home a little better. The tab's actually slip free, so under recoil it's just sliding away on the floor plate. Good mags otherwise. So let's go repack this. Now that we're one with nature and sitting beside the pond on the lovely day that it is, I have an empty magazine and I have slung about my teats a repack kit. First off, I have to find my spoon. So if you've ever seen stripper clips for an AR-15 or a Stay-Nag mag, same concept. It's just going to guide my rounds in. So if I'm not too stupid to do it. Man, fits really tight on that Checkmate mag. So now, after fumbling, I can take my stripper clip guides, and again, this is not going to be like something you're doing in combat. This is obviously, I got time on my hands to refill my mag, and this is much easier than doing it by individuals. Now it's going to get harder once I get down to using or putting that 20th round in, I'm sure. But cool enough, the guy that I bought this off of included the original manual from the military and like the yellow book that explains the bipod and everything else, and it shows you like 4 different ways to do this, one of which is to use the buttstock of your rifle to just like cram against, or use your palm and see if I can like gut my wrist here. Yeah, we're not doing that. That wasn't so bad. Yeah, so cool. Now I have a completely reloaded 20 round mag on my cute little nifty repack kit. So you can kind of get an idea of what you were supposed to do and how that thinking maybe was a little bit old still. But still, neat setup. All right. Ooh, that's wet. Hote. Let's go. All right, so I'm kind of switching gear over real quick, but figured I'd show you. So here's 2 mags. And 2 mags for a total of 80 rounds, 100 with the mag that's in the rifle. If I switch to an M16, which was originally issued with 20 rounders, 30s didn't come out too much later. Now, these pouches are way too deep. I'll give you kind of a show. So if I put that in there, whoop, I'm like way below level here. But stuff a sock or something in there, a Walmart bag from the Vietnam era days. I can get 3 mags. So just by switching to an M16, keeping the same pouches and everything else, and I could use a bandolier to hold 7 more mags and strap it across my body where I have more magazines on a bandolier rather than stripper clips in a repack kit. I've just upped my ammo capacity by a considerable amount. Now, for every, like if you're doing a competitive style shooting where they do a heavy rifle match where if you have a 30 cal rifle, 1 hit on target is a kill, and they switch over to 2 hits on target for lighter rifles. You gotta they do that for power factor, but you figure I'm doing a whole lot less damage. I have a lot less weight, similar velocity with an M16 round than a 308. So take that for what it's worth. So now I really hope that came across. I just farted really hard. That mic better have picked it up or I'd be really upset. Another one. All right, so now rifle much lighter. And so same ammo capacity, much lighter and handier. Similar sight setup where I have a small peep, but now I feel like I could go run around with, like, I'm wearing the same kit. I got both pouches loaded and my rifle in hand, and I've just lost about 8 pounds right off the top. I could string another bandolier across and gain that 7 pounds back, or maybe a little less than that, but much, much lighter, a little handier in my opinion. Does that mean it's better than an M14? I'll let all you scream and piss and moan in the comments about it, and you can let me know. But most people are going to say yes. A real man likes an M14. All right, let's go do the same drill with this. Yeah, I feel like I am carrying a toy now, so that might make a little more sense why guys of the era that were issued an M14 first and then given this, like, that's made out of plastic and aluminum and feels like a kid's BB gun. Oh yeah, I knocked over all my targets with those big 308 rounds. I'm gonna go set those back up. Oh. Okay. I don't think this one's gonna knock my targets over. It might, we'll find out. But we're gonna do kind of the same thing as we did with the M14. Shoot that guy first, shoot that guy second, and then dump a few into the big guy up there and see if I do better. With the M14, I almost immediately pulled off target like a giant wuss, and then I had to come back and slow down a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Ready? I couldn't actually hear that ringing. Mainly because with this particular buffer tube, it sounds like a clown's being hit in the head with a hammer every time I fire, because you can hear the just like banging around in there. You don't hear that with an M14. You get a nice crisp ping kind of noise every time you fire. This sounds like someone's literally got like a rattle trap with a big spring in it just banging it near my head. Probably means I need a different buffer spring. But much, much lighter. If I have to reload, it's pretty smooth and ergonomic. It has bolt hold open and little buttons all over it and all that good stuff. There's already a video on this. You can watch that if you really want to. But I'm probably picking this, but I also have modern knowledge. The M14 is really cool. At the time, everyone's used to that. Not used to this, sees this and goes, ew, this is gross. With the M14 switching over to an M16 at that time, I could see why you wouldn't want to do it. But lightweight, definitely got to shoot stuff more than once, but a little more controllable, much lighter ammunition, you can carry more. And if I'm fighting in up close jungle stuff, I don't need that 308 quite so much. So I think I have like 5 rounds. So see if I can hit the little guy, or the 10-inch. But you can see that that does not swing like crazy. It just kind of, oh God. Now I could have hit it more on the bottom, maybe. It's still swinging. Ran out. Reload's just as simple as everybody knows how to reload an AR-15. I'm not going to get into that. Who cares? But this is pretty cool too. Alright guys, you've been watching some more on standing around at a property with an M14 lookalike wearing Vietnam crap and with checkmate mags what the floors are slipping out of. But thanks for watching Triple F Shooting. We will see you in the next video. I'm going to miss some targets right quick. Told ya. Does feel good. I'm gonna act like I heard that one, but all I heard was the freaking ping.